Vendors, I'm D-Revolution. I'm a 10-year vendor, 12-year business owner, and I want to give helpful tips for you to survive as a vendor and to get the most out of your day when you're vending. Setup is king, and I talked about this in a few other videos. I want to say it again because I had an experience where I went to a particular event and they placed me in the corner of the event, which was not a very good place to be. But my experience of setting up, it didn't matter. They were going to see me back there, and that's what I want to tell you. It just kind of reminded me of my experience and that your setup. I had an inside setup and an outside setup. So the same way I was set up on the inside would not be the same way I set up on the outside. Now, if you have to set up with your tent on the inside, take the cover of your tent off. That way, when people are walking and they're looking up, they can see your cover's not covering you. They can actually see if you got something hanging up on your tent. Take the cover off and set up your tent if you're going to hang stuff on the tent. On the inside, it's not going to be as visible as it would if you set up a tent outside with the cover on it. So take the cover off, but most of all, you're not stuck in one particular setup. And I know sometimes as vendors, you get comfortable in the setup, but understand you must set up according to where you're located, according to where you're sitting. To if you know the direction that people are going to be coming into a particular spot, you want to set up in a way which they're going to have to lay eyes on you, even if you're in a corner. So it's very important to tweak your setup the way you need to, and not think that you're stuck in one particular setup. So if you're in a corner, you can set up diagonally in that corner where you're facing the people that's coming in, if that makes sense. So, I just want to say that I'm just trying to give the advice that the way you set up matters a whole lot. So when people if you're in the back of a van, so when people do see your setup, it pops out at them and it looks good to them, and it makes them really look at your product. Sometimes you can't help where an organizer set you up at or put you at, but I'm gonna speak for myself because I had so many years in doing this. I don't like it to be in a bad spot, but what I will say is nothing you can do about it once you're there. But I'm confident, and because I know how to set up and I know how to defeat a bad location, that I'm gonna be okay. And at that particular event I was at, I did very well. I did very well, but I contribute a lot of that to the setup that I did. Sometimes what I would do, if I'm in a spot that sometimes I would just sit down and I would kind of, just really work out how I need to set up, and not, what's the best that's going to benefit me, how the people next to me set up, and how I'm very hard to defeat in that area, because I can have a very aggressive setup when I need to and make sure that I'm seen. I could do a lot. There's so many different ways that you could move, and at the end of the day, if you at the end of a row, or you're in the corner somewhere, just making sure you have a setup that people got to see when they come in the door. And if they coming in all the way down there, make sure you have something, where when they look up, they're gonna see your display or something. Figure it out. But that's the king right there. It's a good setup no matter where you go. Work different ideas with your setup, and don't be afraid to change it for a different situation. Don't feel like you're stuck in one particular setup. So make sure that you do that, because you're gonna be in situations sometimes where the setup that you're comfortable with might not be the best setup that you need to have at a particular spot. Anyway, I'm D-Revolution. Please like and subscribe to my page. I'm gonna give you a lot of great business tips, vending tips on how to survive as a vendor. Make sure you click the notification button. I appreciate you guys. I'm D-Revolution.